Alright, so last attempt at streaming for today, before I just film this and just place it on YouTube without editing, because yeah. So if you're wondering why I'm streaming today, it's because I didn't have enough time to edit a video this week, so you know, that's that, so that's whatever. But I am recording the video as well, so then in case the bitrate is bad or whatever, then I can edit it down and then I could repost it with some editing. But you guys have like a 2-week advance, basically early access to basically the tutorials, so you know, that's a thing. So basically this week we're going to be talking about the Herrmann pass, and what's different about the Herrmann pass compared to the classic pass is that whereas the classic pass is moving the top packet to the bottom, the Herrmann pass is actually moving the bottom packet to the top. So that's the main difference. But there are some problems that I want to talk about, which, you know, that's well, they both have problems, but you know, they both have different problems. Well, they sort of have the same problems, but in different veins, if you understand what I mean. But let's go over some history first. So the first apparent publication of the Herrmann pass, and I say apparent because the description is pretty vague. The first apparent publication is in Gabriel Melhall, I think that's how you pronounce it, is in his book Le Philosophe Nègre et les Secrets des Grecs. So it is a book that touches on slavery, so hence why the title is slightly iffy, I want to say. But it's in the second volume, and it was first published in 1764. This first modern publication of the Herrmann pass as we know it is from August Roderberg's New Era card tricks, and he credited it to Alexander Herrmann, so that's where we get the name Herrmann pass from. But a new theory suggests that the Herrmann pass wasn't actually from Herrmann, it was actually from his mentor, Johann Nepomuk Hofzinser. So we should probably be calling it the Hofzinser pass, but that's just a theory, a magic theory. But yeah. So there are two main problems that people have, or you know, that I have with the Herrmann pass. So three problems, and they're kind of shared between the classic pass as well, but they're kind of like different as well. So sorry, let me just tilt the camera a bit over here. All right, so basically there's three main problems I have with the Herrmann pass. I almost said Hofzinser for some reason, but the first problem is that both hands come together for no apparent reason. So in order to execute the pass, I need both hands to be together to execute it. And that's sort of that's not necessarily that big of a problem, but it becomes a problem when you just sort of do the pass on its own. So you just do this for no reason, so it's just this. But the second problem that I have with the pass, or the Herrmann pass, or whatever you want to call it, is that there is tension, and that applies to every move, but because you need both hands, there is basically an excessive amount of tension. The third thing is that it's pretty ineffective for a single card control. Basically, whenever you want to control a single card, you move this card to wherever you want it to go, right? So if it's in the center, then you move it to the top or to the bottom. Sorry, let me just go pick it up. But for a pass, you're basically moving the entire deck. Just to control a single card, and that's not necessarily the best idea because of how inefficient it is. But one advantage of the pass is that it actually retains the entire deck order. So if you're actually doing something like stack work, or you know, something like that, it actually retains the stack. So this means that you know, you're not messing up your stack because everything is where it should be. So that is an advantage of a pass. But with that out of the way, let's go over the main mechanics. So this is just the base mechanics of the Herrmann pass. I'll go over some stuff afterwards. So yeah, let's just go into the Herrmann pass. So let me just get rid of my face first because it's not necessary. But basically the Herrmann pass, both hands are involved in the Herrmann pass. One is that your right hand is gripping the top packet in a biddle grip, and the second, your left hand is gripping the bottom packet in a dealer's grip. So this is it. So both hands have their own roles. Basically what you're going to do is that you're going to start off with a break above your selection. So pretend it's the 5 of spades and you have a break above it. Your right hand will then come over and grip basically the top packet, only the top packet in a biddle grip. Next, you're basically just going to lift up this packet, and this will give way for the bottom packet to clear. And what your bottom packet does is basically it's going to lever up, and it's going to lever up by your pinky and your ring finger applying pressure. So you'll notice that this levers up and your middle finger is just sort of there for support. So this levers up and you're basically forming an inverted L. Next, you're basically going to release pressure on the middle finger and your thumb from your right hand, and this will cause the packet to drop slightly at an incline until both packets form a sort of V. Next, you're basically going to close both packets together, sort of like a book. So basically what you're going to do is that you're going to move your right hand to the right, like so, and you're basically going to close this packet off to the left, right? So you're basically just going to have your pinky and ring finger just close this packet. So you're going to execute these two motions at the exact same time, so both packets meet in the center, but you'll notice this sort of gap there. So this is where your thumb comes into play. So over here, as it closes, your thumb is at the perfect spot to just glide along the long edge over here to one, hide the gap, and two, to square up both packets. So I'll go over both motion, the entire motion again. So you have a card selected. Next, you're going to lever up the packet as your right hand drops this into a sort of inverted V, well, just a normal V. Next, you're just going to close the packets together as your thumb rubs the side to square up both packets into one deck, basically. And that's the Herrmann pass at its core, basically. But there is a way to essentially reduce the tension in the move, and I have to give credit to Aaron Fisher. Aaron Fisher, if you don't know who he is a magician who wrote a book called The Paper Engine. And in The Paper Engine, he talks about tension and how to get rid of it. And his main solution for getting rid of tension is if the source of tension is us executing the move, then why don't we just not execute the move? Why don't we leave the execution of the move to something else? And that is basically what this is. He is essentially using gravity to help execute the move. So if you notice that if you just press down a bit, you can actually let gravity sort of take its path, and you'll reduce tension because you don't need to apply as much pressure with your pinky and your ring finger. So this is basically just sort of self-rolling. So I'm actually not doing anything with my fingers, and this packet just sort of rolls onto itself. So you can actually use gravity to reduce tension in the move. So sorry. So if I have this, I actually right, so it just sort of flops open by itself. So you can use gravity to reduce tension in the move. And so yeah, that's courtesy of Aaron Fisher. So yeah. Sorry, I just need to drink water. But yeah, so I'll go over the motion once again, but this time with the Aaron Fisher philosophy. So focus, there we go. So you have a card selected here. You just barely just touch this packet, and then gravity will help this packet roll. Here you just drop the packet into a V, and then you close both packets together as you give it a rub. And that is the basic mechanics of the Herrmann pass. Now, as for me, if I'm just doing a Herrmann pass by itself, I do need a context. I do need a justification as to why both hands are together. So, in this case, I'm actually doing a wrist roll. So, if I'm actually doing a Herrmann pass, what I can do is actually, I'm letting go. I'm doing the exact same thing as a normal Herrmann pass, but rather than me closing the packet together, sort of, I'm basically just going to roll my wrist, and this will cause the bottom packet, the now bottom packet, to meet the top packet. So if I just have a card selected, I can roll my wrist as I extend my hand forward. So this is basically a wrist roll. So here, can you hold your hand out, and that completes the pass basically automatically, so I don't need any sort of additional squaring up action. So over here, so the normal Herrmann pass was this. With the wrist roll, I mean, it's basically something like this, right? And it might look, and I know that some people will be afraid of doing this or whatever, but your eyes will naturally follow motion. That's how it works. So in the event that, you know, you're afraid of doing that, the action of extending out your hand will draw their eyes away from the deck into this hand. So that is basically the perfect natural misdirection, and also serves sort of a in transit action, I want to say. But if you're standing up and you're not at a table, you can actually do an arm drop, which is essentially the same. So whereas you're doing a wrist roll, you're actually dropping your arm. So here, right? So you can see that it's basically sort of the same as the basic mechanics of the Herrmann pass, where you're doing this, but here you're actually just dropping your hand as you complete the pass. So no one's going to complain about you dropping your hand off to the side, because, you know, it's a natural human thing to do. If you drop your hand off to the side, it just means, you know, you want to relax or whatever. That's the default position of where your arms go. So I mean, no one's going to complain about you dropping your arm, because, you know, it's the natural position of where your arm goes. So, you know, that's a thing. But another thing that I do is a sleeve roll. So pretend I have sleeves over here. So over here I do a Herrmann pass, but I actually grip the entire packet in a right hand biddle grip as I roll the sleeve up. Here I transfer it back to a dealer's grip as this hand rolls my other sleeve up. So it is basically a two-part action, right? So I execute my Herrmann pass, and as I close both packets, I'm rolling the sleeve, and then I transfer it back to a dealer's grip as I roll this other sleeve. So that is the sleeve roll. So I'm going to go over all the actions again. So first one at the table is a wrist roll here. The second thing, I can't really do it at a table, but it is just dropping your hand off to the side, and that completes the Herrmann pass. And then the very last thing that you can do is a sleeve roll. So over here, Herrmann pass it over here, and over here. And that's the Herrmann pass. Well, the context I like to give the Herrmann pass. But one thing that I really like the Herrmann pass over the classic pass is that you can actually start executing the pass in advance. So I know that a lot of people like to do the classic pass because it's apparently faster than the Herrmann pass, right? I mean, you're just doing this, but there's a lot of tension involved, and you need both hands to come together to execute the pass. That is a basic fact, right? But with the Herrmann pass, because it is the bottom packet moving around the top packet rather than the top packet moving around the bottom, you can actually start the pass before the right hand even comes over. So in this case, if my right hand covers this packet, I can actually lever this packet up in advance, and then I could execute the pass. So I don't need to wait for both hands to come together. I can basically start doing the pass before my right hand even reaches it, which is a huge advantage. So that's one reason why I actually prefer the Herrmann pass over the classic pass. Now let's go over some alternate handlings or some covering actions for the pass, for the Herrmann pass. There's two covering actions that I'm going to basically go over. So the first covering action that I'm going to go over is the turnover pass. So it's going to be largely the same as the basic Herrmann pass, but the difference is that once you're here, you're basically just going to drop this entire packet, right? So whereas the normal one actually is just like a slight release of pressure, this is just straight up dropping it. So now you're in this, so now you have this book formation in just your left hand. And then basically this gives your opportunity for your thumb to go over and contact the face of this packet. And basically this packet will be pushed to the right by your thumb onto the other packet into this into a face-up position out of your dealer's grip, right? So this is what happens, is that you have a card selected, you execute your Herrmann pass, you drop everything, and now your thumb just kicks everything to, just put it down or whatever. So that is the that is the turnover pass, or the main difference the main difference between the turnover pass and the Herrmann pass. Yeah, so here you execute your Herrmann pass, drop everything, and close. And that's the turnover pass. Right. I know some people, and this bothers me a lot, I know some people who do the turnover pass with both hands, right? And it doesn't look bad, but personally, I'm not the biggest fan of it because, I mean, people seen you do deck flips and people seen you do this, so why would you suddenly need both hands to turn the deck around, right? It doesn't make much sense. I know Ernest talked about this. He talks about the uniformity of action, and that is basically consistency across every action. So why would you suddenly need both hands to turn over a single deck of cards, right? You don't need to. So basically, you just need one hand to do it, right? So yeah, that's my biggest gripe with most handlings of the turnover pass. But that's just me. If you would like to do it, then that's fine. But I just like to find a reason to have everything. So turnover pass like so, right? Now the main weakness of this sort of turnover pass is that I don't end up in a dealer's grip. So now, if I want to return to a dealer's grip, I have to re-grip, which is just a sort of a minor issue. But you could easily justify it by placing it down on the table, talking a bit, and just picking it back up, and then just spreading the deck. So it's just a minor inconvenience. But again, no method is perfect because we're trying to create perfect things with imperfect methods. The very second thing that I want to go over is the spread pass. So if you don't know what the spread pass is, it's basically just a Herrmann pass under a spread. But there is one main advantage that I want to talk about when it comes to spread pass. So when it comes to the spread pass, what's different is that when someone returns a card in a spread, you need to close the spread to continue the trick. That is a fact. Because if I don't close the spread, then I know exactly where this card is. So I need to close this spread to continue on with the trick. But this also gives me the perfect opportunity to control this card. So in the event of a spread pass, basically the closing of the spread is the pass. So basically the context is built into the spread pass. So hello. So I need to close the spread to continue on with the trick. So now I have sorry, there's construction going on, but I need to close the spread to continue on with the trick. So basically this gives me the perfect cover and the context to execute a Herrmann pass. So that's why I like the spread pass a lot. So now the spread pass by itself. So if I have a card selected like so, the moment this spread covers this packet, so around like the thumb area, so this sort of just covers this packet. Here, this gives you the perfect cover to lever this packet up and close everything above it, right? So, card selected. So here, this spread covers everything as I start to execute the Herrmann pass. So now, basically, what's blocking this packet is my middle and index, right? My right hand, index, and middle finger. So this is basically what's covering it. So over here, I'm going to close the spread as I lever this packet up. Right, so over here, close it as I lever it up, and this gives me the perfect opportunity to just straight up release this packet and then square everything up. So I'll go over it again. So as I close the spread, I lever this up. So now basically this packet is being pinched by my thumb and my index finger. And when I'm ready to close the spread, I can just release pressure with my thumb. So this drops the packet into that V position I talk about all the time, basically in the Herrmann pass. And now I can close both packets together as this right hand squares everything up from the front and my thumb squares everything up from the side. So once again, close the spread above, lever it, clip the packet over here, drop everything, and close as I square both sides up. So that is the spread pass. So again, I really like the spread pass, but this method isn't necessarily what I do. I do something that's more in line with Sean Farquhar's spread pass that he does in the should I say it? Yeah, you know what? I'll say it. He does a spread pass in the HG effect, which is basically, you know what? You can go do your own research. I'm not going to say it because I'm afraid that it'll give away the method. But how he does the spread pass is very different from how most people do the spread pass. So I'm not going to go over that one, but this is the spread pass if you use the basic method that I presented at the beginning of the stream. So yeah, so I'll just briefly go over some other covers for the Herrmann pass. So the very first thing that I want to touch on is the Malone shift. So if you don't know what the Malone shift is, it's basically a Herrmann pass variation created by Bill Malone. If you don't know who Bill Malone is, you should probably read up on him. He is I want to say a legend, but yeah, so you can go ahead and read up on Bill Malone. But basically what Bill Malone's thing is that he does a Herrmann pass and he hides it under the guise of a spread. So he spreads this packet back, right? So that is the covering action for the Malone shift. You're going to spread the packet backwards. I'm not going to go over this, and I don't do it that well because I don't do it, but the Malone shift, I think it's best used as a vanish. I don't want anyone to necessarily do the Malone shift as its own standalone thing. I want people to do it as a vanish, because that's what I think the context fits the best, right? So if you're going to do the Malone shift, right, you're sort of just wiping the card away from existence, and I think that's a very nice visual. You also do it as a color change, so yeah, but again, I don't think it's that good as its own like standalone pass, because there's not really like a context for it. So, the way Bill Malone uses it is like a color change or a vanish, so just go ahead and use it like that. Don't try and force it elsewhere. So, you know, that's that. The very next thing that I want to briefly touch on is the Graveyard Shift or the Midnight Shift, which is by Steve Drawn. So this was in Seekers Drawn from the Underground, I think. Oh god, I need to read up on it, but I'm not the biggest fan of this. Let me just show how this looks on my webcam. So basically, yeah, that's what it looks like. I just don't like the Midnight Shift or the Graveyard Shift at all, because there's no context behind it. You're just shifting your body to cover up the angles of a Herrmann pass. And that is the biggest issue, is because there's no context for this move besides, I need to do this because I want to cover this move. There's no context for it. You're just shifting your body because you need to execute the move. There's no reason for you to shift your body. I don't even know if anyone talks like that. I don't know if anyone talks like talks and then you suddenly shift your body, right? There's no reason for you to shift your body. So generally, I'm not the biggest fan of the Graveyard Shift or the Midnight Shift, because there's no reason for you to be shifting your body. So there's no context for it. So that's about it for the Graveyard Shift and the Midnight Shift. You can read up on it. It's in Steve Drawn's books, so you can go ahead and look that up. For the Malone Shift and the Graveyard Shift, they're both in Richard Kaufman's On the Past DVD, so you can go ahead and look that up in case you can't find the books. The very next thing that I want to touch on is the cover pass. So I'm just going to go briefly over this. But the cover pass using a Herrmann pass is first used by, I want to say, Harvey Rosenthal in Karfol's Packet Switches Part 3, which was published back in 1977. So if you want to use the Herrmann pass as a cover pass, well, you're basically just going to do basically a normal Herrmann pass, but but you're going to need a Verdnace break. If you don't know what a Verdnace break, I actually cover it in my video overview on breaks, so you can go ahead and look that up. But I think that's about it for that's all I'm going to say for a cover pass using a Herrmann pass. Yeah, so I just want to give that away, is that, you know, if you're having trouble with a classic pass type cover pass, you can go ahead and switch over to a Herrmann pass type cover pass. So yeah, so I'm not going to teach you the method. I'm just going to say it's basically a normal Herrmann pass, but you add a Verdnace break. Again, the Verdnace break, I teach it on the overview on breaks, so you can go ahead and look up on that. The last covering action that I want to talk about is Marlowe's extended finger cover, which I'm not the biggest fan of. So the extended finger cover is something like this, right? Or some, oh wait, was it? No, it was like this. Okay, sorry, I'm getting all my covers mixed up. It's this. And this bothers me a lot because there's no reason for you to be turning the decks like so, right? Because okay, here's what bothers me the most is that you're not even changing the state of the deck. If you were changing like the deck from face up to face down or vice versa, then I'll say this has more of a purpose. But here you're actually just changing the deck from face down to face down, so there's really no reason for you to be doing all this like flipping action. You're just doing this for the sake of doing this, and that, I mean, there's no reason for it. So yeah, I'm just going to briefly cover that. So those are 4 other Herrmann passes that you can look up on: the Malone shift, the Midnight shift, and the cover pass used as using a Herrmann pass, and the Extended Fingers cover by Ed Marlowe. It was first published in Marlowe's Magazine Volume 2. And so yeah, so those are 4 Herrmann pass variations that I'm just briefly touching on, because I have issues with them, or because I find them interesting enough that you can study up on them. So let's go with gripes over. Let's go over some problems that I've seen with the Herrmann pass on social media. So what I've seen on the Herrmann pass on social media is a lot of this, or like a lot of this, which is, it's just not good, because it's like there's no context for you to be doing all this motion besides I need to cover up the Herrmann pass, right? So in the event that you're doing something like, oh wait, I just noticed that my webcam was up. How long was my webcam up for? That's horrible. But yeah, so that's bad. So you know what, because my webcam was up, I'll just go over the cover pass just a bit. So basically it is a Vertnes break with a Herrmann pass. So, you know, that's that, right? That's it for the cover pass. So yeah, the Extended Fingers cover by Ed Marlowe is this, right? So yeah, I'm just demonstrating them again because my face was in the way and that was really annoying. But yeah, back to gripes with some covering actions is that some people do this, which again, there's no context behind it. If you're going to, especially because people have seen you squaring up a deck normally. They've seen you do this with a deck. Why would you suddenly need to do this to square up the entire deck, right? There's no uniformity in action. There's no consistency. And as such, this feels so out of place. So when I like to do perform magic, I like to keep track of everything, right? I want everything to be cohesive. I want everything to be consistent, right? So let's take, for example, a double lift. If I'm suddenly doing a double lift like this, why would I suddenly do this as a double lift or whatever, right? It just doesn't make sense. There's a difference in handling so much that one of them screams, I'm a move, right? So, I mean, it's just that I want things to stay consistent, and so having this suddenly be thrown in a Herrmann pass for the sake of covering up sort of bothers me. So yeah, so that's my main gripes with the Herrmann pass as seen on social media, is that if you're going to poorly add a context to a move, I think that's worse than not having a context to the move, because this draws more attention to the move than not having a context, right? This feels more out of place than not having proper context for a move, right? So for example, what feels more awkward, right? This or this, right? Don't mistake burnability for invisibility. Just because you can't see a move doesn't mean you can't feel a move, right? People know that you're performing a move, right? I think that people hide behind like, oh, they can't see a move, therefore, they don't know I'm doing a move, but that's wrong. People know when there's something wrong, right? People know your emotions based off like minor facial features or whatever, right? So it's natural that they know when you're performing a move, right? Because now it involves your entire body. So if people can look at emotions, then they can know when you're doing a move, right? Don't pretend that they don't know it because they can't see it. So yeah, so please keep track of the context behind the moves that you give them. So that's that, right? Context and justifications, they need to be in line with what you're currently doing and your whole character, right? Everything needs to flow together to have to be natural, I want to say, right? Naturalness isn't just burnability, it's everything added together. So yeah, I don't know how long that rant was, but that was it, right? Alright, so that was about it for the Herrmann pass. This went on for quite a bit, mainly because this is my third stream trying to get the Herrmann pass together, but I finally solved the issue. It was an encoder issue for some reason, so yeah. But if you're curious about the Herrmann pass, here are some more resources that you can touch on. On the Pass by Richard Kaufman, unfortunately, it is only a DVD, so you're going to need a DVD player for it. But if you have a DVD player and you just happen to buy On the Pass by Richard Kaufman, then this resource is great. It provides so much information on passes, right? Not just on the Herrmann pass, but yeah. The very next thing is Advanced Card Control Volume 3 by Alan Ackerman. There he teaches Steve John's Midnight Shift on there. You can also check out Chad Nelson's Spread Pass. It's the very first I would say spread pass that I first started using before I shifted over to Sean Farquhar's HG effect type spread pass. The second thing, the fourth resource is On the Turnover Pass by Compulsive. It's COMPULSIVV. You can find him on Instagram, and he is a great sleight guy. So if you're curious on the turnover pass and you want to learn more, then you could go ahead and check that out. Next, we have Lecture at Flat Number 9 by Andrew Frost. So he is slightly obsessed on Instagram. Next, we have Paper Engine, the PDF version, which is sold at Conjuring Community. And you also have the Penguin Live Lecture by Aaron Fisher. We also have Spirit in the Walls by Florian Brooks. He has a pass called the Althea Shift, not Althea Shift. I know someone named Althea, but it's not that. It's Althea. It's ALTEA rather than ALTHEA. So, Althea Shift. So you can go ahead and check that out. Next, we have the Complete Walton by Roy Walton. I believe it is in Volume 2 that he teaches the Herrmann pass or the turnover pass. I think he teaches the turnover pass in Volume 2, so you can go ahead and check that out. Obviously, we have the classic Jason England tutorials on Theory 11, so you go ahead and check the Herrmann pass over there. And so yeah, that's about it. That should be about it for alright, the HG effect by Sean Farquhar, so you can go ahead and get that as well. I highly recommend it. So yeah, that should be it for the further reading. I'm going to edit down this video in about 2 weeks. So yeah, you guys have early access if you like, right? But next week, I should have enough time to edit down a video on the cull. I know someone asked me to post a video on the cull, so this will be that. And so yeah, so next 2 weeks is probably the cull and then the Hofzinser bottom palm. So that should be generally my schedule. And so yeah, sorry for the construction, but yeah, so that should be about it. And so see you guys next time, and practice this well. And so yeah, bye or something, right? All right.